from chapter 2. And we are at the moment on text 37. Chapter 2 is entitled The Contents of the Gita Summarized. And we will just, as usual, do the chapter summary so far. So text 2:1 to 2:10, Arjuna continued from his all the doubts that he was mentioning in chapter 1. He continued in text 2 up to text 4 or 5. Krishna spoke, and then Arjuna surrendered. Text 7. Then Krishna starts to give the Gyan to Arjuna from text 11, and that went to text 30. And this section, 31 to 38, which we'll finish tomorrow, is Karma Kanda section. This is where Krishna is addressing Arjuna from a very materialistic point of view, just addressing Arjuna from that situation. So we'll go to today's verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 37. Ato va prapsyasi sargam jitva va bokshyasi mahim tasmad uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krita nishchaya. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. So this is one of those verses where the purport is shorter than the translation. So I'll read it myself. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Even though there was no certainty of victory for Arjuna's side, he still had to fight for even being killed there, he would be elevated into the heavenly planets. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitansha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Kacharine Nirdishishasvinyavadi Pashate Deshatarine Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Just arrange the screen a little bit further. Okay. Right. So just reading the text once again, O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. So, as I was saying, this is Karmakanda consciousness, because Arjun spoke about the fact that, oh, what's the point of gaining this thing? One of the points that Arjun made was that what is the point in me winning, even if I win the whole earthly planet? It'll be no point, because how will I be able to enjoy it without my friends and relatives? So for that particular reason, Krishna, realizing that Arjuna is very much on the bodily platform, the Karmakanda sort of platform, he is, of course, giving him these verses. So he's addressing his Karmakanda mentality. So Karmakanda means performing prescribed duties to gain material enjoyment. That is the meaning of Karmakanda. You are somewhat religious, but your whole aim of life is to do things, do your, Lakshmi pujas and whatever other pujas you do, but your main aim is to enjoy life. There is not much spirituality there at this stage. So this is the section we're on. Because it's a very, very short purport, what I thought we can do is we can recap this particular section, the Karmakanda section so far, and that way we can understand where we stand. So in text 31, Krishna says, considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no need for hesitation. So at this stage on text 31, he's saying, you, as a Kshatriya, this is your duty. And really, there is no better engagement. So please don't hesitate. But you must fight on the religious principles. Text 32, he says, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. So here, again, Krishna is reminding him that, Kshatriya should be happy at the opportunity to fight. You don't need to shy away from it. A Kshatriya is usually looking forward to this. In time of peace, we can imagine that a Kshatriya would go almost through the whole lifetime without an opportunity to be in war. And a Kshatriya's whole purpose of life is all his training that he's gone through. Everything is to do with fighting. So the Kshatriya should be very happy to get this opportunity. Then 33, he says, if you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. So here, he's addressing, see, every point that Arjuna had made previously, Krishna is very, very cleverly overturning each one. So he's saying, Arjuna is saying that, oh, if I kill all these people, I will incur sin. So Krishna is turning it on its head and saying, in effect, if you don't fight, if you don't perform your duty, then you will incur sin. If you're killing, when a soldier kills enemies on the battlefield, there is no sin. So the fact that you want to run away from it, that is sinful. Then in 34, Krishna said, people will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. So Arjuna was, of course, very, very famous. Parantapa, the subduer of enemies, is worldwide. He was known as one of the best fighters. So all his reputation, it will be down, and his respect will go down. So dishonor for a Kshatriya, of course, is worse than death. 35. The real generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. So a continuation of the previous point, saying that all these generals who really see you as a Maharathi, in that verse it's meant Maharatha, they think of you so highly. And although you are telling me that you want to leave, you don't want to fight because of your compassion for your cousins and for your teachers and for your grandfathers, etc., etc. But they will not think so. They will think that you're running away out of fear. So they will think that you are insignificant. Then in 36, Krishna says, your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn on your ability. What could be more painful for you? So all the time, a Kshatriya, he's there. One of the things that is really inspiring him all the time is the fact that everybody is praising him, and that keeps him going. But if he comes to this, when you run away, they will say, see, he ran away. He was scared of the Kauravas, of the Kaurava army, and all that. And how painful will all that talk be for you? And then in 37, which is now, he's concluding that either you will be killed on the battlefield, or attain heavenly kingdom planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly planets. So there's nothing to lose. Just be determined and fight. So very, very systematically, Krishna has unfolded all of Arjuna's arguments. So that's some of the other points that we picked up from that section was simple things that we've learned. So what is the meaning of a Kshatriya? Can anybody tell us?
To protect Dharma, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Protector from harm.
Exactly, yes. So the protect Dharma too, but Jai Shri Mataji is more closer. To give protection from harm. That is the Kshatriya's duty. So when the Kaurava army came to harm the Pandavas, it was Arjuna's duty to protect everybody else from harm, because he was the most capable on the battlefield. And can anybody give the breakdown of the word Kshatriya? You must have covered it in your previous sessions.
Is it like a warrior or a ruler?
No, I mean the Sanskrit word breakdown.
You mean breakdown, okay.
Is Shat
Yes.
like the protector and Triya is harm? Or the other way around?
The other way around. Yes, well done, Jeshua. It's the other way around. So Shat means hurt, harm.
Harm, yes.
And Atriya means to protect, to save somebody from that. So that's the word Kshatriya.
Yeah.
Very good. So Kshat is hurt, and Trayate actually. Trayate means give protection. That's where the word comes from. So the duty is, let's just look through duties of the Kshatriyas, right? So we always protect citizens from difficulties. That's one. Apply violence for law and order. So Kshatriya cannot be peaceful. The quality that Arjuna is trying to adopt right now is peacefulness. But that is not, that is a Brahmana quality. So as I said in the 18th chapter, we went through it recently, where he said that one should not, you should perform your own duty, even if it is faulty. Don't try and perform somebody else's duty. So here Arjuna is trying to perform the duty of a Kshatriya, of a Brahmana, by being peaceful. It doesn't suit him. His duty is to use violence for law and order. Conquer the inimical kings. So anybody who comes to fight you, it is the dharma of a Kshatriya to conquer him, or at least make an effort to conquer him. Sometimes, he may lose, but at least that if he dies that way, he goes to heaven. So that is his main job, to conquer the opposite party. Rule the world according to religious principles. That's very important. So Kshatriyas, in the Vedic times, this was a situation. There were Kshatriyas, were proper Kshatriyas, and they used to rule according to religious principles. As we have heard so many times, they would consult the Brahmanas for advice in terms of decision making. And this is why the Vedic system of Varnashram was running so nicely, so smoothly. But when the Kshatriyas then moved away from religious principles, this is when the whole thing started to fall apart. And it degraded to despot kings who were ruling things very whimsically and being very unfair to the population and exploiting the population rather than protecting them. And this was the downfall of the Vedic system of Varnashram. Kshatriya is never meant for directly accepting the order of sannyas. So sannyas can be accepted by Brahmanas and also Vaishyas, but not for Kshatriyas and not even Shudras. Kshatriya is not meant to. So again, one of the arguments Arjuna had was, oh, I'd rather go and live in the forest and beg. Living in the forest and begging is the work of a sannyasi, not of a Kshatriya. Then training the Kshatriya. All these things are picked up from the purpose of the previous verses we just discussed. So Kshatriya is trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is a necessary factor. So generally speaking, violence is discouraged. One should be peaceful and all that. But for the sake of protecting religion and for the sake of righteousness, violence is necessary. And this is why the Kshatriyas are trained for killing. And how are they trained? They would go to the forest and challenge a tiger or other ferocious animals face to face with a sword or whatever weapons they're using. And when the tiger is killed, the tiger is actually given a royal order of cremation. So this was the thing. There's no other way they can get practice. So Kshatriyas were allowed to do this. They were allowed to go and kill animals to practice their art. According to the scripture, the following acts are not acts of violence. So Brahmanas sacrificing animals, they are not supposed to be acts of violence. Can anybody tell us why?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Because the animals were elevated from the animal body and get liberated. The soul is liberated.
Yes, Palika Mataji, exactly. That's why animal is immediately he gets a chance for a human body. He shortcuts the whole cycle of 8.4 million different yonis, go straight into the human body, which, as we all know, it is the best position to be in because only in the human body we are able to find the window of getting out of this cycle of life and death. All the other yonis do not offer us that opportunity. And then Brahmana also, by that act, although he's doing sacrifice, which seemingly seems to be a very cruel act, but because he's sacrificing animals in the right way with the right situation, he gets heavenly planets. Kshatriyas fighting on religious principles, they also get heavenly planets if they're killed on battle, as we've already covered. Then the result of avoiding the duty. So now here's the negative side. Krishna is saying, if you avoid your duty of a Kshatriya, this is what's going to happen. We've already covered bits of it. So you infamy, which means you lose your reputation as a warrior. Dishonor, we spoke about that already. People will speak ill of you, and then that's worse than death for you. Ridicule, your enemies will laugh at you, saying that you ran away. Sinful reaction, because you are not performing your dharma, you will go to the hellish planets. Again, just recap of a recap. And then win-win situation, Krishna is giving him here. Conquer the enemies and get an unrivaled kingdom on earth. Or if you die in the battlefield, become elevated to the heavenly planets. So Prabhupada makes in one of the purpose the point that material happiness comes from proper execution of one's dharma. Neglect of dharma means material downfall. So forget about any spiritual advancement and all that, but even materially, one wants to be happy, then you must execute your dharma properly. That's the point. Then very nicely Prabhupada explains two types of dharma in one of the purports: material and spiritual. They're all both swadharma, material and spiritual. Sometimes the spiritual dharma is called sanatan dharma, swadharma and sanatan dharma. But here Prabhupada is calling both of them swadharma. So spiritual swadharma is attained after liberation. Material swadharma is the varnashram dharma. According to the body that you got, you need to act like that. So definition of material dharma is duties which are performed in accordance with the religious principles according to a particular body to gradually achieve liberation. So all the varnas and ashrams are meant to do this, meant to gradually elevate us to higher and higher platforms until we get liberated. So this is a must for humanity. To perform your dharma according to varnashram system is a must for humanity. And human civilization begins at this stage. So if we are not practicing our dharma according to the varnashram system, then we are not even at the level of humans. We are still subhuman. And we know many people like that who are actually, if you're working, you may be a very learned person in terms of mundane education. You may be, a PhD and so on. So you may have a big house. You may be very successful in your business or career. But still, if you're not making any progress in your spirituality, we are considered subhuman. Your human civilization begins at this point when you begin to do something about your dharma, not just the body and material considerations. As long as one is not liberated, these duties are very important to perform. And the varnashram system has been ordained by the Lord. Can anybody tell us which verse in the 4th chapter speaks about this?
Chaturvarna Maya sister Guna Karma Bhagasha.
Wonderful. Yes. Chaturvarnam Maya system Guna Karma Bhagasha. Tasya Karmanam Apimam Vidya Karmanam Avyayam. So Krishna is saying that according to the 3 modes of nature and the associated work, the 4 divisions of human society have been created by me. And Krishna says, although I am the creator of the system, you must understand me to be the non-doer, because I am above the system of varnashram, is above the modes. So these are unavoidable. And these are men's stepping stones of spiritual understanding, as we're saying. So we follow this properly, and that becomes a stepping stone for our spiritual life. And it's unavoidable in human society, unless you prefer to remain in an animalistic life. The benefit is, if it's done properly in accordance to the higher authority, then it elevates one to the highest status of life. So he says, in the text, it says, therefore, get up with determination and fight. So determination, very important. So here I was listening, I forget now who it was, some sannyasi, some Prabhupada disciple I was listening to in a lecture a long time ago. And he was mentioning, he says, coming to Krishna consciousness is not difficult. But having the determination to stay in Krishna consciousness is difficult. This is what we find. But I know when we first meet devotees and we are convinced, we are so enthusiastic. We're there at the temple at every opportunity. We're chanting our rounds very enthusiastically. We're speaking about, because it's a newfound thing for us. So I was there for me. I was speaking to everybody about it. I was just trying, because the penny dropped and I was able to see the light. I was able to see why this is such a good path to follow. I naturally believed that all my friends, who were actually until that time, all my karmi friends, were very much at the same wavelength as me in terms of ideas, business, how to have fun and all that, right? So I also thought that they will also be similarly enthusiastic about this. So I used to go around, telling, come, come, come. I invite them to the Sangha, I invite them to the temple, but none of them, not one of them took it seriously. So that's a shame. But you can see this is the excitement we had when we first joined. But as the time goes, our strong determination in the beginning, it starts to wane after a little while. We've been in the movement for a few months, few years, and it starts to then become a bit of a routine, and our enthusiasm starts to wane away. So we need to keep our enthusiasm very, very strong, our determination very strong. And if you do that, that is a win-win situation for us. Just like Arjun had the win-win situation, we have the win-win situation. So by keeping determined in a devotional service, either we will succeed in devotional life in this very lifetime, and we go back to Godhead, which is the biggest prize. Or even if we don't finish our devotional life properly, there's nothing to lose, because we still have to, we can take a birth. Krishna guarantees that we can take a birth in a good family to continue our devotional life. So win-win situation, no loss. The downside is, if you don't do it, then you are risking going down to other yonis in the material world. So either way, the process of devotional service itself, either way it works, and the process itself is joyful, as we all know. In the 9th chapter, it is explained about the joyful side of devotional service, how bhakti is always joyful. Anybody know that verse? Just very early part of 9th chapter. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshyavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. It says Rajavidya Rajaguhyam, this knowledge or this path is king of all paths, and very, very guhyam is the most confidential. Why is it confidential? Because a lot of people, they may know of it, but they're not following it. Although they don't understand it. Pavitram, it is the most, is the purest. Uttamam, it's the topmost. Pratyakshavāgamam, so it gives pratyaksha, so it gives the realization of the self. And dharmyam, susukam, so it is susukam, it is the most perfection of religion, and it is performed happily, and it's avyayam, it is everlasting. So this is the very nature of devotional service. And I was saying earlier that if we don't succeed, nothing to worry. And that is here in 641. Prapta punyakatam lokan ushit vasashvati sama suchinam srimatam gehe yoga prashna vijayate. Says the unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. In the purport, Prabhupada expands that, saying the unsuccessful yogi are divided into two classes. One is who is fallen after a little progress, and one is fallen after a long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets where pious living entities are allowed to enter. And after a prolonged life there, he is sent back to this planet to take birth in a family of righteous Brahmana or Vaishnava or of aristocratic merchants. Because in those families, you have a chance to continue your devotional life again. And again, in 240, which is a few verses from now, we will also read this verse, which says, Neha brikamanashosti patyavayana vidyate salpamapyasa dharmasya tayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. And there again, the Prabhupada says, activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of self-gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun in the material plane has to be completed. Otherwise, the whole attempt becomes failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. Even though not finished, the performer of such work is therefore not at a loss, even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%. So as I always mention, that our spiritual bank balance is like a one-way account. Your spiritual credits only go in, they never get depleted, unlike our mundane bank accounts, or even the mundane sukriti. Our mundane sukriti is also used up, and then we fall back again, but not the spiritual sukriti. And then to finish with, there's another verse which is talking about a similar situation about there's all win-win situation for devotee. Is 1.5 in Bhagavatam 1.5.17. Tyaktva swadharmam taktva swadharmam charanam bhujam hare bhajan apakvo tapate tato yati yatra kvava bhadram abud amushakim kovartha apto bhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness, and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material duties perfectly? Or as the Christians say, this is actually not their translation, this is Prabhupada's comment on this. He says, or as the Christians say, what profiteth a man if he gains the whole world, yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? So materially, as I was saying earlier, you can be the most successful person in the country, but what profit is that if you have done nothing for the soul? Okay, Hare Krishna devotees, we will stop here, and I will invite any questions, comments, reflections.
Hare Krishna Mukunda, Hare Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for a wonderful class. I was listening to one of the class by Srila Prabhupada, which is Bhagavad Gita 1:23.
Yeah.
There he says that Krishna says simply by trying to know him, one becomes liberated. Simply by trying, not perfectly, even imperfectly, because he is endeavoring to understand Krishna. That very activity will make him liberated. So this liberation, is it the liberation we study in the Nectar of Devotion, those 5 kind of liberation? Is it different, or does that mean when you leave your body, you will be liberated to the spiritual world? I just want to understand that, please. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Palika Mataji. So it is like this. The fact that you're making the effort to understand Krishna.
Yeah.
So that means that you are already on the path. You're already on the train, and as long as you remain on the train, we will get to the destination. This is the point of that liberation. That means that you're already on the way.
Okay.
Right? So it is said that it's like a mango. Prabhupada often mentioned that, like green mango, ripe mango. As long as the mango remains on the tree, right now it may be green, but if it remains on the tree, it will become ripe. So the fact that we can actually say, in one sense, we can say this mango is ripe. Looking in the future, you can say this mango looks green now, but is ripe, because in a few days' time it will be ripe, like that. So yes, it means like something like that. Although yes, you have just begun and we haven't fully understood Krishna, but the fact that you have making the effort, you will understand Krishna for sure, because if you are sincerely trying to understand Krishna, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, Krishna will give us the little intelligence from within. So that gives us the guarantee that we will be liberated.
At the beginning, long time ago, when Bhakti Maharaj came in the temple, at that time, I'm still neophyte, but at that time, in a very, very early stage of neophyte, And I had no idea about the word liberation. So I was asking Maharaj, I said, if somebody is not qualified to be, to be graduated or having master degree, and how can it be? So I was referring to liberation, and Maharaj said, you are already liberated. So I said, oh, that's a wonderful thing. So I'm just different stages. I'm learning about liberation. So that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, exactly. So of course we have the 5 kind of liberations and all that, and that is of course the perfection stage. But as we say, yes, we are very much encouraged by these kind of statements that you mentioned. That just by beginning on the path, it is such a potent path that it as long as you remain on it, there is no loss.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hema Mataji.
Thank you for a wonderful class. Prabhuji, I was thinking of Kshatriya's role as protecting Dharma. And then I was reflecting on Prithu Maharaj and how he treated Mother Earth without giving her the benefit of doubt in terms of why she was hiding the grains. So why would he have done that? Because he was such an elevated leader, elevated king, so almost Satyavesh avatar, but yet he did that to Mother Earth. And I thought that was not a very religious way of treating Mother Earth.
Yes. That's a very good point you make, Hema Mataji. And I'll be very honest. Also, when we went through that, Bhakti Vaibhav, that question did go through my mind. But I must admit I don't have a clear understanding of. These things are sometimes explained as pastimes for us to learn a lesson, stuff like that, right? And yes, you can see that side of it. That by Prithu Maharaj doing that, we all learn so much about the value of Mother Earth. So that is one side of it. But yes, on the other hand, you can see, it was like, he was chasing her, trying to kill her, and all that, which without actually giving her the opportunity to explain her side of things.
That's right. Yes.
But so the only thing we can explain is this is pastimes arranged by the Lord for our benefit to understand the deeper meanings.
Right. Okay. And same, I suppose, with Bhishma Deva, isn't it? Because he again was supposed to protect Dharma. So for him, Dharma at the time was to protect Duryodhan.
His Dharma, no, see that exactly. So his Dharma was to protect the throne. Yeah. Hastinapur. And that was the pratigya he took, that as long as I'm alive, I will always protect the throne. And at that time, Duryodhana, or rather it was Dhritarashtra who was on the throne. So it became his duty. And also many times it's explained that obviously these kind of duties, he was taking it very literally and not bending in terms of, what is right and what is wrong. Even to the point that when Draupadi was disrobed, he didn't make a comment, right? But these are the sort of things that, yes, because he's supposed to be protecting the throne of Hastinapur, then everything else didn't matter for him. And for this reason, Krishna also criticized him.
Yes.
So yes, that was a fault. But again, this is, pastimes. He's there for a certain lesson for us.
He still got darshan of Krishna at the end.
Exactly. At the end, he was successful. Absolutely. So he played his role. He played his role to also, one of the things that we also should understand, that he played his role also in the sense that it showed us from that pastime that no matter how powerful you are, such a powerful personality, so no matter how powerful you are, at the end, nobody is greater than Krishna.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My humble obeisances to you.
Hare Krishna. Rupa Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. That was a very wonderful class. When you were describing that when we come to Krishna consciousness, in the beginning, we are very enthusiastic and we are just telling everybody, come on, take this, it's very, so that reminded me of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's class where he was describing the 6 steps of Anartha Nivriti. And the first step is Utsamai. So it's Utsamai is the stage where you're so enthusiastic and you're just thinking, I'm doing it. Why can't he do it? Why can't she do it? So I've seen many devotees do that actually. So it's like, oh my God, why don't you understand? So, everybody is at different level. So
Yes.
Utsamai, yeah, so that reminded me of that. And it's quite funny actually. The class by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is also quite funny how he describes the steps of anartha and everything.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's very good. Yes, exactly. Thanks for
Thank you.
reminding us. Thank you, Hare Krishna. On the chat group, chat box, I've got this, I believe it's from Rita Mataji. Rita Mataji is saying, how can a person be sure that he or she will surely go back to Lord Krishna's home at the end of the life? Do we have to be qualified to pass the exam of reading the Bhagavad Gita and chant 16 rounds of Mahamantra to go back to the real home away from this material world? Okay, very nice question, Rita Mataji. It's like this. Prabhupada, see, we have to receive the knowledge in parampara. So in our parampara, Prabhupada has said that as long as we follow the 4 regulatory principles, which is no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, and no intoxication, and we chant the 16 rounds of Mahamantra, and of course we follow all the principles, keep association of devotees, and remain attached to ISKCON, he says that you are guaranteed to come back. Now, the qualification, of course, it is very nice to look at it that way, but 2 points here. Number one, it very much depends on each individual consciousness, more than the actual physical things to do, like chanting your rounds, reading Prabhupada books, attending classes, hearing classes. All those things are very much physical things that we do. But apart from those, if internally our consciousness is still remaining hard, if our heart is not softening, then we and only we can know it. Nobody else can tell us. Only we know where we are. So somebody can be practicing the process very, very methodically, but heart is still hard. That means the consciousness is not still cleared, not cleansed. We all have different amounts of dust settled on our hearts from millions of lifetimes. And each one of us will take different times to get rid of it. The more sincere we are in the process, Rita Mataji, the quicker the dust will be removed. Cheto darpana marjanam, as they say. But so everything depends on our sincerity and our consciousness. But yes, it is said that if one is very sincere and completely committed to this path with full consciousness, there is no stopping from that person reaching back home, back to Godhead. So that's one point. The other point that we must make, though, is that actually, when we will all find that when we make advancement in spirituality, the higher we advance, the lower the destination, the lower the importance of the destination becomes. What I mean by that is to say that right now, at this level, I'm thinking, I want to just get out of this cycle of birth and death, and I want to go back home, back to Godhead. I want to be with Krishna, right? But then as we advance more and more, we come to a stage where we're thinking, no, that's selfish. That's for me. I want to do this. I want to go there. That also is very much my own ego. So I want to leave it to Krishna. And so the prayer, as you advance in Krishna consciousness, the prayer is not that Krishna, please take me back to Godhead with you. No, the prayer is, Krishna, do with me the best you think is for me. If you think that for me, the best thing to do is to stay here and preach, then fine, I'm happy to just follow. I will do that. I'll preach in hell if you want. But Krishna, do me one favor. Just whatever you arrange for me, please make sure that I'm never, wherever I am, I'm not devoid of association of devotees. So that becomes our prayer. Our prayer, our goal becomes fuzzy then. And then we are thinking, I don't care where I live as long as I'm Krishna consciousness. and I'm helping other people to become Krishna consciousness. Does that make sense, Vita Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna to you, and the humble Hare Krishna to the assembled devotees. I do understand, because all the reading and the paragraph, and you explain it so well, it doesn't stay in the mind, because I have not been reading the Bhagavad Gita, but I used to go to the temple from a very young age. So I'm thinking it's a big journey that I know from my inner self that I want something. I used to go and see in the Janmashtami programs. I used to ask the devotees, please, is there a way where there's classes? And somehow the classes were invented during the lockdown period. I'm so lucky to hear about the Bhagavad Gita. I have the Bhagavad Gita lying in my room, in my Mandir room for many years, but I didn't have a chance to read it. But now I have come to understand it. But even now I feel that it's a very long journey. I'm trying, but
Yes.
it will take time. But
You are on that.
it's all Krishna's mercy,
Absolutely.
whatever he wants.
Yes, Vita
Hari
Mataji.
Bol, Hari Bol, Rita
Bol.
Mataji. Well
Hari
done.
Bol,
Well
Hari
done.
Hari Bol,
Bol.
Mataji.
You should be.
Yes, thank you.
Bhuta Bhavan Prabhu, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, Bhuta Bhavan Prabhu was giving a class at the manor, and
Yes.
he mentioned something. And the fact, Vita Mataji, the fact that you are on this chat class every week and you are listening to the Bhagavad Gita, it is already a very rare situation, a very rare situation. So you are already making an amazing amount of progress compared to the average person. So Buddha Bhavan Prabhu was saying that this devotional life is so rare that out of millions and millions of people, one may take it seriously, right? And that's why all the people, all of you here, all of you, I see there's 52, 51 of us here.
Yes,
And
Prabhuji.
all of us must actually realize and thank Krishna for allowing us to be on this path. Without Krishna's mercy, without his permission, you would not even be able to come and attend classes like this. So the fact that Krishna has given us that mercy, that means Krishna's mercy has begun. It's already flowing. Now
Yes,
it's up to
Prabhuji.
us. It's up to us.
I can feel it, because it's whatever Prabhuji, Lord Krishna does it. He's done it for the world. This lockdown and everything, whatever has happened, is to teach the world a lesson. Plus, when people are coming to the Bhagavad class and Bhagavad Gita class, it's amazing, and it's so, it relaxes the mind, because the mind goes here, there, everywhere. It was such a big anxiety. But now, by reading or listening to the Bhagavad Gita, and through your association of your humble devotees, I give my humble pranam to all the devotees who are doing so hard work, and senior devotees like you are doing such hard work to bring everyone together, on the chat class. Yes,
Well,
it's
thank
very
you so
good.
much. Thank you for your encouragement. Rita Mataji, two things I'd like to say to you. Well, now you're on board, do not step away. Secondly, do keep chanting. Yes, it will be important to read Bhagavad Gita and understand the Shastra. But the basic thing that we must keep doing is chanting the names of the Lord.
Yes,
Prabhupada said
Prabhuji.
that 90% of our advancement comes from the chanting of the name. That's how potent, that's how powerful it is. So let's keep chanting the names, and that will help everything else around it. So keep that in mind. And all of us, of course, I'm talking to Rita Mataji, but it applies to all of us. Just make sure our chanting becomes our priority. Chant very, very attentively, and that will help all the rest of the parts of the devotional life.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I just want to say to Rita Mataji to join a Bhakti Vriksha group, because in Bhakti Vriksha group, they take you very nicely. They, step by step, and there is a group, and you can discuss, you can have a mentor. So it's a very nice thing, this Bhakti Vriksha group. So if Rita Mataji can, I think she lives in Uxbridge, if I'm not wrong, I don't know.
Yes, I am in. Yes, Mataji, I am in Uxbridge, And
Yeah, I live in Hillingdon, very near
oh,
Uxbridge.
okay.
So,
Okay, then maybe
there could be lots of Bhakti Vriksha groups actually online. They have classes online, and it's very nicely done. If you were looking for a group that can teach you, apart from obviously the chat group, Bhakti Vriksha is the group that you should join. So there is Nritya Priya Mataji. She has many Bhakti Vriksha groups, Northwest London Bhakti Vriksha groups. So you can join them. And maybe I can send you, I can send you the link or something, and then you can join them.
yeah, you can send me the link on the group so I can sort of then, or maybe you can leave me your phone number or mobile number.
Okay, then I'll just do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Rupa Mataji. That's a very good point. To make progress on our own is very hard, but to progress together, like in a group like Bhakti Vriksha, it becomes much easier. You're able to ask questions, you're able to participate, and that makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Just a couple of messages here.
Yes, and it's very enjoyable as well with the association of devotees. It's enjoyable. Very enjoyable.
Exactly.
Yes,
So,
somebody did mention about that group, Mataji, because I didn't get your name. My name is Rita Mataji, and I didn't get your name. Somebody did mention beforehand as well. I think Santosh Mataji mentioned that. But yes, but I was not able to join then. But slowly and steadily, because it will give me more information to go how to go about everything, because we are more connected into the material world. Then when certain things are not happening the way I want, I get disheartened. That's the problem. Yeah. So I think that your class would be very good for me.
Yes, absolutely. You can go along with the other devotees, and it's very helpful. They're very kind, and the association really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, then you can leave me your phone number or your mobile number. Then we can sort it out there.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. And so there's a message here from Indira Mataji. Indira Mataji is saying, so chanting is more important than reading. So, it's difficult to say which is more important. Yeah, both, everything, all the devotional service, everything has to be going side by side. But yes, in that sense, chanting is the basics. So most important thing is to get your good rounds done, good chanting rounds. That really helps the rest of the sadhana. And I have Falguni Mataji saying, can I ask a question, please? Yes, Falguni Mataji, please, you can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, something you mentioned, and that just sprung a question in my mind, was, when you mentioned that in the scriptures, it says that, the animal sacrifice should only be done by Brahmanas. And, that will obviously is an opportunity for the animal to get a human birth, right? Now, from what I understand, that when the sacrifices of animal sacrifices were done, there were only certain animals which were always chosen for sacrifice. And why would that be? Like, why is that something preferential? Like, you only choose certain animals to have that opportunity to have a human birth? Maybe.
Yeah, so Falguni Mataji, so they actually, according to the Vedas, there were certain sacrifices where the Vedas specified what kind of animal should be used. So there was Ashwamedha Yagya, that was the horse sacrifice. Then there was Gavalamba Yagya. There were actually even cows in those days were sacrificed. But, having said all that, in the age of, they were performed by Brahmanas, but not just any Brahmanas. These are very, very qualified Brahmanas who had the mantras. And because of the power of those mantras, that animal was able to get that human life straight away, right?
Right.
So the in the age of Kali, we don't have Brahmanas who are that qualified. Nobody can chant those mantras anymore. So that's why it is actually forbidden. In the age of Kali, animal sacrifice is completely forbidden.
But
But yes,
that makes a lot of sense. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, it's almost wow, my goodness, I realize the time. When when you're having fun, time goes fast. 9 o'clock almost. I'm so sorry to keep everybody so late. But thank you so much for your wonderful questions, everybody. Please do look after yourselves. Srila Prabhupada ki jai vancha khata kripa sindhu bhye patita nam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class.
Thank you, Bhagwan.
Hare Krishna.
Very elaborated,
Hare
wonderful
Krishna.
class. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for all devotees. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Leela Pushasam Prabhu, are you there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class.
Thank you, Rita Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Leela Pushasam Prabhu, are you there? I can see you there, but you're muted and not on camera.
Now I'm on mute. Yeah, sorry, I can hear you.
Hari Bol, I can see
I
you now.
always but this problem with me is, because of ear problem. It takes me a long time to ask or even express my realization and reflection. So that's why I try not to.
No, don't worry.
I'm always learning from the active questions and answers as well, and the actual wonderful classes by all of you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, I'm always learning. There's always something to learn. Always. So thank you for allowing me to join the group. But please, actively take part. Maybe occasionally I might be able to ask one or two questions.
No
But apart from
so, Prabhu, I have a question. First of all, Prabhu, thank you so much for giving us your association. Secondly, I had a question for you. We didn't see you at the Tirobhav Mahotsav.
Yeah, that's a very good question. No doubt about it. I'll make it. I'll tell you the truth.
Okay.
The truth is, my daughter Dana. Right?
Yes.
So she has 3 health conditions, and even myself, I'm 80 now, and I have a few health conditions.
Okay.
And then my husband also has 1 or 2 health conditions. So the thing is, despite of COVID, although they take all the precautions, etc., I know that Radha also requested me also, they'll have the COVID test and all that. That's all that's good. And it was a very successful Tirobhav festival. Obviously I missed it. But I still managed to join online with them as well. And so I managed to join. There was a recap on the internet. So coming back to the question, it's very, very, very clear. It's very obvious that if I get it, then because we are now in the same building, in the same house. So our apartment house is better for us to be able to work with both sides. Which I installed by Google and Maharaj. And that is it's non-stop like we do in the temple for 30 years. With this Maharaj is and Google and Maharaj is they have been able to do it. But so weak that I personally I will go talk to them for I leave them alone because they have to manage and fulfill their promise. They will worship. In fact, they 4 days.
Yeah.
This one we don't have any sources. Very few people have that. So this is that responsibility. That's one thing.
The line, Prabhu, the line's breaking up. The line's breaking up. Let's catch up. Let's catch up on the phone. Will be better.
Okay.
Okay.
Phone is fine.
Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everybody. Hare Krishna.